Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's professional meeting. Since everyone is here, let's get started. Today, we are acting as members of the Student Innovation Unit Task Force. Our task is to evaluate the 5 pitching solutions from the group Neptune and decide which solution is the most feasible for addressing academic stress and student well-being among high school students. Before we begin today's discussion, let me briefly review what we have completed so far. During the previous pitching section, we listened to all 5 proposed solutions and understood their main ideas. Today, our task is to evaluate the strengths and the weakness of each proposal before reaching a final recommendation. I will be the moderator for today's meeting. We will discuss the proposals in the same orders as they appeared in the video. So to keep the meeting efficient, please speak one at a time, explain your views clearly, and respect different opinions. Let's begin with the first proposal. The first proposal presented by Huang Ziwei suggests peer support groups for students facing academic stress. These groups provide a safe peer-led space for sharing challenges and strategies, supervised by a teacher or school counselor. So Huang PEIEN, I'd like to hear your views. What are the strengths and the possible gaps of this proposal?
Thank you, XIANG. I fully support this proposal. Academic pressure is a widespread issue rather than an individual problem. While school counseling services are available, many students hesitate to seek help. Peer support groups provide a more informal and accessible environment, making it easier for students to share their concerns. Therefore, I believe this program is worth implementing.
I'd like to raise one concern. How can we encourage students to actually join these peer support groups? Some students may not feel comfortable sharing their stress or personal challenges in a group setting.
I share the same concern. Some students may be shy or worried about being labeled as weak, which could discourage them from attaching even the first meeting. If participant rates are low, the peer support groups may not be able to achieve their intended purpose.
Both of you have raised good points. To encourage participation, students should be given flexible options, such as listening only, submitting anonymous questions, or joining online discussions. Since students are often more comfortable talking with peers, a small pilot program could help build confidence and increase participation over time. In addition, an anonymous survey can identify students' main concerns, making the program more relevant and engaging.
I generally agree with you. But I would like to follow up on the issue of training student peer leaders, since no selection criteria or training duration have been specified.
That's a very important point. Student leaders need more than basic training. They should learn communication skills, confidentiality, and crisis management, with regular guidance from school counselors to ensure the program is safe and effective.
In addition, I'm a bit concerned about the issue of resources. Training students, leaders, regular supervision, and coordinating meeting times all require manpower. If the school is short of funds and manpower, will it be difficult to sustain?
I agree that resources should be considered, but I believe the cost is manageable. Training can be conducted by school counselors, and group sessions can be held outside teaching hours. I also suggest starting with a one-semester pilot program to evaluate its effectiveness before wide implementation.
I would like to add one more point. Besides reducing student stress, this program could also serve as a feedback channel for teachers. Through anonymized summaries, teachers can learn which subjects cause the heaviest workload and adjust accordingly.
I completely agree with JINTONGHONG's point. It creates a useful feedback channel between teachers and students. To evaluate the program, we can compare students' stress levels and well-being before and after the pilot. While also gathering teachers' feedback, this would provide evidence for future expansion.
Thank you, Huang PEIEN, and thank you everyone for your comments. To summarize, this proposal is practical and low cost. It can help students feel less lonely and provide a safer space to express academic pressure. However, it still needs proper peer leaders training, confidentiality rules, counselor supervision, and a pilot program. So we can keep this proposal as a strong supporting option. Now let's move on the second proposal from Zhang Hanzhao. It focuses on reducing homework load, using meaningful assessment, and protect PE and rest time to support students' health and learning efficiency. Jintonghong has reviewed this proposal in detail, so could you please share your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree that the proposal hits on a major pain point, student fatigue. And on the surface, changing homework for practical assessment is a good idea. My main hesitation is the enforcement. The president leaves the implementation up to the schools, but doesn't really give us a plan on how to keep teachers from encroaching on that guaranteed rest time.
Totally agree. The pressure for high exam scores is intense. Without strict oversight from administration, teachers will inevitably bypass the rules, assign extra work, or take over non-academic classes like PE.
Exactly. The proposal strongly states that PE classes and the rest times must strictly not be used for other purposes. However, it lacks a concrete mechanism to monitor this. Without supervision or consequence for violating this rule, the plan must just remain an idea on paper rather than a reality in the classroom.
Another thing is the practical assignments themselves. They require much more effort from teacher to design and grade. Honestly, I doubt how schools can make sure they are fair for all students.
That's the gap I noticed as well. The president didn't clarify what this meaningful assessment would look like in different subjects. If this new assessment end up being just as time-consuming or stressful as traditional homework, then the core problem of student stress and sleep deprivation won't actually be solved.
I do think there's immense value in rebalancing study and health, as a health body definitely lead to better long-term academic performance. However, I agree that the balance between maintaining exam readiness and reducing daily workloads wasn't clearly explained in this proposal itself.
I agree with that. The long-term benefits of better physical health on learning efficiency makes sense, but the proposal currently lacks the detailed steps needed to transition from the current high-pressure exam system to this new model safely.
Thank you, Jintonghong, and thank you, everyone. Zhang Hanzhao's proposal addresses a real problem, but it still faces practical challenges, especially teacher supervision, enforcement, and unclear assessment criteria. So we can keep this proposal as useful policy support, but it needs clear implementation details before full implementation. Let's move on the third proposal from Luo Tianyu. His proposal suggests establishing school relaxation rooms to help students reduce stress during breaks. BOYA has reviewed this proposal in detail, so could you please share your thoughts?
Sure. From my perspective, this proposal does respond to a problem that almost every student can relate to: stress from exams, homework, and future expectations. The idea of a quiet space with calming music and comfortable seating sounds appealing. However, I'm not fully convinced that it would be effective in practice because it didn't explain who would manage the room or how it would be maintained on a daily basis.
That's a fair point. I have a similar concern. A relaxation room isn't a one-time setup. It is continuous cleaning, supervision, and probably someone to make sure students don't misuse it. Without a clear long-term management plan, I think this could create additional problems rather than a solution.
Exactly. The proposal only described what the room would offer, but not how it would be run over time. Who is responsible for it? How often would it be checked? What happens if it isn't properly maintained?
I'd like to raise another issue. We already have space like the playground or open areas where students can relax during breaks. I'm not sure how a relaxation room is meaningful different from simple allowing students to rest in these existing spaces.
That's exactly the gap I noticed as well. The speaker didn't clarify what unique benefit this room provides that students couldn't already get by going outside or to a common area. Without that distinction, it's hard to justify the additional cost and effort of setting up a separate room.
I do think there is some value in having an indoor quiet operation, especially during bad weather or exam periods when the playground is too noisy. But I agree that this advantage was not clearly explained in the proposal.
I agree with that. The potential benefit you mentioned makes sense, but it's an assumption we are making on the presenter's behalf. It wasn't actually addressed in the speech.
One more possible challenge is the cost and the space needed. Some schools, especially small ones, may not have an extra room available, and setting up gaming music systems and comfortable furniture would add to the budget, on top of the ongoing maintenance cost we already mentioned.
That's true. Taking the budget into consideration, along with the lack of a maintenance plan, I think this proposal may not be cost-effective as it currently stands.
Overall, I think the idea behind this proposal is well-intentioned, but it still feels underdeveloped. Without a clear management plan or a clear distinction from existing spaces like the playground, it's difficult to see how this would work sustainably in the long run.
Thank you for all your discussion. Based on what we have heard, this proposal still needs further consideration. The main concerns are long-term maintenance, daily management, unclear differences from existing spaces, and the cost and the space required. So I suggest that we do not select this as our main solution, but keep it as an optical idea if the school has enough budget and space. Now let's move on the fourth proposal from Wang Yasen. His idea is to improve students' sleep through later school start times and a sleep education program. PANYIKUN, could you briefly introduce your view?
Of course, in my opinion, Wang's proposal is very important because it focuses on a basic but often ignored problem. Students don't get enough sleep. Many high school students wake up too early, finish homework late, and use screen before bed. As a result, they feel tired in class, lose concentration, and become more stressed. I think later school start times such as 8:30 a.m. could help students feel more awake and be more prepared to concentrate and learn in class. His second idea, sleep education, is also useful because it helps students understand healthy sleep habits, manage their study time better, and reduce screen use before sleep.
I agree, sleep is directly connected to health and learning. If students are exhausted every morning, even good teaching methods may not work well. So I think this solution addresses the root of the problem, not just the symptoms.
I see your point, but I'm a little bit concerned about feasibility. Changing school start times may affect transport schedules, parent working hours, and after-school activities. Some schools may find it difficult to adjust the whole timetable.
That's a valid concern. However, I think the proposal doesn't have to implement immediately. Schools could begin with a pilot program and collect feedback before making a full change.
I agree in principle, but I think later start times alone may not solve the problem. If students still sleep late because of homework or screen use, they may not benefit much. That's why the sleep education program is necessary.
Yes, I also think the two parts should go together. The later start time gives students more opportunity to sleep, while sleep education teaches them how to use that time properly.
I agree. From our discussion, I think we can support this proposal, but it would be better to introduce it step by step because of possible timetable and transport issues.
Thank you, PANYIKUN. To summarize, Wang Yasen's proposal is useful because it supports students' sleep, well-being, and learning. However, changing school start times may be challenging, so we can consider it as part of combined solution with workload management. Now let's move on the fifth and final proposal from Iwil Afshahanin. His proposal introduced EduPace, an AI-powered system that coordinates assignments across different subjects to reduce workload pressure. Xue Kunyu has reviewed this proposal in detail, so could you please share your thoughts?
Certainly, thank you. What impressed me most was that the presenter looked beyond homework itself. He argues that the real issue is poor coordination between subjects, which often causes students to face multiple deadlines at the same time. Instead of reducing learning, he proposed an AI-powered workload management system that helps teachers coordinate assignment schedules. This would allow schools to work towards homework-free weekends while maintaining learning continuity. Overall, I think this is a practical and systematic solution because it improves how workload is managed rather than simply reducing it.
I agree. The proposal offers a fresh perspective by focusing on coordination instead of simply reducing homework. However, do you think teachers would actually trust AI to recommend the assignment deadlines?
That's a good question. I don't think the AI is meant to replace teachers. Instead, it works as a planning assistant by identifying periods of heavy workload and suggesting better scheduling, while teachers still make the final decisions.
Another strength is that the presenter explained how the idea could be implemented. He mentioned a 12-week pilot program, staff training, and the integration with the existing LMS, which made the proposal more realistic.
Yes, I noticed that as well, but I still have one concern. Since students complete assignment at a different speed, I'm not sure whether the AI can predict workload accurately.
It's a reasonable concern. Although the estimates may not be perfect, I believe the system is mainly designed to identify workload peaks rather than calculate each student's exact workload. Even with some variation, it could still improve coordination among teachers.
I'd like to add one more point. Besides reducing student stress, I think this proposal could also improve communication among teachers, since everyone would have a clear understanding of students' overall workload.
One possible challenge is the cost. Schools with limited budgets may find it difficult to develop and maintain such a system.
That's true. I think the proposal would be even stronger if it included more information about development costs. Starting with a pilot program in selected schools could also reduce financial risk before wider implementation.
Another point I appreciated is that the president didn't place all the responsibility on students. Instead, he suggested that schools should also take responsibility for creating a healthy learning environment.
I completely agree. Rather than asking students to adapt to an overloaded system, this proposal focuses on improving the system itself. That's what makes it different from many of other solutions we've discussed today.
Thank you, Xue Kunyu, and thank you, everyone. Now that we already discussed all 5 proposals, let's move to the decision-making stage. Before we reach our final recommendation, I'd like us to look at the proposal as a whole. Based on today's discussion, which solution do you think offers the greatest overall benefit to students? PEIEN, would you like to begin?
Certainly, from my perspective, EduPace should be our main recommendation because it stresses the root cause of academic stress by improving workload coordination instead of simply reducing homework. At the same time, I believe peer support groups should be included as a supporting measure because students also need emotional support and opportunities to share their concerns.
Thank you. It seems we agreed that managing workload systematically is an important priority. JINTONGHONG, would you like to build on that?
Yes, I agree with the Huang PEIEN. EduPace provides a strong frameworks for coordinating assessment, but I don't think technology alone is enough. Schools should also improve homework quality and make sure PE classes and rest time are properly protected. This policy would make the overall solution much more effective.
That's a good point. So besides workload coordination, supportive school policies also seem to be an important part of the solution. So how about BOYA?
I agree. Compared with the relaxation room, I think EduPace is a much more practical and sustainable solution because it benefits all students instead of only those who choose to use the room. The relaxation room is still a meaningful idea, but I think it should only be considered if schools have sufficient resources in the future.
Thank you. It sounds like we are beginning to see a clear direction. PANYIKUN, is there anything you would like to add before we reach a conclusion?
I agree with the EduPace. In addition, sleep education would complete the system well because it helps students develop healthier study habits and make better use of their time.
Thank you. We have heard several supporting ideas alongside EduPace. KUNYU, since you reviewed this proposal in detail, would you like to give us your final thoughts?
Of course, overall, I believe EduPace is the strongest proposal among all 5 solutions. It is systematic, practical, and measurable. More importantly, it improves the learning environments instead of placing all the responsibility on students. Although implementation will require investments and careful planning, the challenges can be managed through a pilot program before wider implementation.
Thank you, everyone. It seems that we have reached a consensus. After carefully evaluating all 5 proposals, we believe that EduPace is the strongest and the most feasible solution. It addresses academic stress at the system level while remaining practical and measurable. Therefore, I would like to propose EduPace as our final recommendation. Are we all in agreement with this recommendation?
Yes, I agree.
Yes,
I
I
agree.
agree.
Excellent. Since everyone agrees, our decision is confirmed. To summarize, after comparing all 5 proposals, we have selected EduPace as our final recommendation. Although the other proposals offer valuable ideas, we believe EduPace provides the most comprehensive and sustainable approach to reducing academic stress among high school students. Our next step is to prepare a recommendation report for the Student Innovation Unit, including a pilot program and an evaluation plan. Thank you everyone for your valuable contributions. If there is no other business, we can close the meeting here. Thank you all. That's all for our today's meeting.